The person who thinks they're great is right. The person who thinks they suck is right. So believe in your greatness and keep trying. So in the last book I read, it said, and this is actually in Outwitting the Devil, less than 1 out of 10,000 people who have failed twice will continue.
And welcome to another episode of Attractive Mindset Season 2. And we have none other than the amazing, listen, I'm not going to even spoil it because every time she walks in the room, we're in several rooms together. You constantly see them. Every time you see somebody around high-level individuals, you automatically know. You don't even need to know what they do yet. But you know they're a high-level individual because the energy that's put out, the smiles, the essence, the everything. But yet she keeps herself full of humility, not humble, but humility. And I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit more about herself. We got Miss Lala in the building.
Hi guys, I'm really happy to be here. I was like, when you going to invite me to the show?
You-
Feel me? So I'm excited to have a great conversation.
Absolutely. So tell everybody what you do.
All right, so I'm LaVonne Idlette. I am a securities attorney who does wealth strategy. So I help people with all things that have to do with asset protection, privacy, wealth preservation, and acceleration, and being abundant giver. So, yeah.
Okay. So that's not like a typical thing for people to just jump into. So before I even ask you how you got there, where are you from? Because you got kind of like a country accent.
I do not have a country accent.
What?
I am from Hampton, Virginia.
It's always the country people that say they don't have country accents.
I really feel like I sound like a newscaster, like a regular American accent. However, I mean, I know I don't sound like I'm from Miami. So I grew up, born and raised in Hampton, Virginia, military town, went to Hampton University, and moved here 17 years ago. So people think I'm from Miami, low-key.
So you
and
saying
Wikipedia lies on me.
17 years ago like that didn't feel country to you?
17 years ago?
No, see, now you cleaned it up. But then you're in its natural state. You said you had a little...
It had a twang on it?
It had a little twang on it.
Wow. I just feel like New Yorkers are wild aggressive and think everybody is country. If they don't say son or B.
I mean, that's, I wouldn't say wild aggressive, but it's there. It's there. They're not from New York. You hear the country, right? Yeah. Okay, but so you grew up more in like a suburban area or just straight country?
So Hampton Roads is like a metropolitan. It's not
city.
Super city, but
Okay.
but I mean, we got roads and malls and regular stuff. Like, you don't have to drive more than a mile to go to a grocery store. It's not country at all. Virginia can be country, but not the 757. We're a beach town with tourists and stuff.
Oh, okay.
All military
that's like my toxic trait. The moment somebody has an accent, I'll automatically start thinking horses and carriages.
Bro,
it's crazy.
So I have a client that lives in Arkansas, and I just kept being like, bro, I'm not coming out there. And then when I went, I was like, this is a regular city. This is crazy. I thought y'all was on dirt roads.
That's how I feel about most of Texas. You had this one person. It was actually at Omari's event, and she's like, yeah, I'm from Dallas, but I wear like cowboy boots, and like she started talking about animals and stuff I've never heard of, and she said chiggers. And Shari, if you watch this, listen. And I was like, what is chiggers? Because she was like, yeah, you can't go in the mud because then they're gonna climb you and whatever. And I said, huh? They're gonna do what? In the mud? She's like, yeah, these little critters and they bite you, so you gotta wear like high things. And I said, okay, cool. You know what? We'll settle there. I'm not a country guy like that.
Yeah.
And when I was in the military, I was in 29 Palms, California, which is like the desert. But I equate the desert to the country. They didn't have the accent, but it's just empty.
Yeah.
Like they had coyotes. I literally looked out my window and saw a dust ball or whatever that thing is that you see on TV shows. Yeah, it rolled by and I knew I was in the wrong place. So that's my perception of country. But so how do you go from, you live here now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you go from Virginia to a big city?
so aggressive that you just keep calling me country like that. Like that's so wild.
I didn't say
First of
country
all,
that time.
Miami ain't even a big city, to be honest. It's regular.
It's pretty big.
It's a big metro.
It's pretty big.
Also, but I moved here to go to graduate school to train for the Olympics, and that was 17 years ago. That's so crazy to keep saying, but yeah, that's how I got here in 2007, and it was warm. You know, and most of my family, actually, my father's family is from Florida. So I sort of identified with the Floridian spirit, even though I think it smells funny outside.
So you're going to just drop that casual bomb. Yeah, I came here to train for the Olympics. And you continued that sentence so casual as if you didn't just say that.
Yeah. So I moved here to train for the Olympics in 2007. I didn't make the team in 2008. I made the team in 2012. So that was my first one. But I ended up going to 5 world championships and 1 Olympics. And it was a great career. It took me around the world. I happened to go to the Olympics while I was in law school. So it was like a lot of stuff going on at the same time. But I sort of forget about my life as an athlete because now I'm a little bit removed, 6 years retired. And yeah, I'm not nearly as fit as I used to be. So it just is, that part of my life just feels like a past life almost.
I know how that feels. You know, I was in the military, I stocked up, you know. Now I haven't even touched the gym. But you know, I can still reminisce on it. You know, I still have the moments where I'm like, okay, cool. And so what was how does that passionate or those two things connect? You being in sports, but also in law, because those are like two complete, literally you're using both sides of your brain.
So basically discipline transcends thing. So an athlete learns to be disciplined over time. And like, you just take that to anything that you want to do and you can do it greatly. So I was just so used to showing up. What do you have to do to be a great athlete? You got to go every day. You got to make deposits on the vision. So you got to go hard on every rep and you worry about being tired when it's over. And so I just took that approach in general. So when I moved here, I was in graduate school. So I went to business school first to get an MBA. I was competing, traveling around the world, coming back, maxing out my absences and all of that. But it was just a part of my life. So I never really looked at it as like hard. It was just sort of like, I got class from this to this. I got practice from this to this. I got to make sure I get a massage. I got to go get in the ice tub and somehow also be social because I still made it all of that. I did all of that. The 20s was lit.
I see. You give me like, you know, most country people aren't that sociable, but like you get what?
This is wild.
What happened? My bad. I didn't mean to say it like that. You know, but most not city folk are, you know, not that conversational. But you're actually really conversational.
I mean, so I almost got finessed into moving to New York once and Chicago once and LA once. I sort of like a lot of places, but traveling the world does give you a lot more to talk about, to be honest. But I would also say that Southern people in general are super conversationalists.
Is that the word
because
you like
we
more?
are friendly as heck, but not the kind of friendly like I think that New Yorkers are actually friendly.
Absolutely.
But they have to know you first. So they have like a hard shell, like a little, like, you know, y'all like jelly beans a little bit. Like hard shell, soft on the inside.
What jelly beans you eat that's hard on the outside?
You know, jelly beans got that outside casing that's a little bit tough.
It's not that tough. It's like, you know,
exactly.
You can squish it.
Exactly. But you're gonna carry it.
You're right.
Like, face forward. Don't talk to nobody. If somebody asks you for directions, tell them be out. Like, you know.
I'm not like that. So, you know, the term you prefer is Southern, right? So Southern folk. So is it? I know some South people that's not country though.
I believe you. Like Florida. So Miami is in the South.
Yeah.
It's not Southern.
Explain that.
So if you walk up to a person in Miami, no one's going to tell you good morning. They're not going to ask you how your day is. They don't give a damn. They are basically transient New Yorkers.
You're right. Because most of us from New York are here.
Exactly. And bring your bad manners.
Wow, bad manners.
Yes.
We don't have bad manners.
So if I say good morning, if I say good morning to you and you don't say good morning back, you got bad manners. Who raised y'all?
Well,
and Caribbean people do speak back. So I'm not speaking for Caribbean people for the most part.
You know, I used to think that too, because of course I grew up in a Caribbean household. But, you know, when it comes to manners, or, you know, it's a double-edged sword. There's contradiction going on because, I don't know, psychology messed up the game for me. When I started really understanding psychology, I was like, they got some points. And it could be some crazy topics where I'm like, I should be agreeing with y'all, but I understand. And that's one of them. When somebody walks up to you and says something, you know, even if there is no motive, you know, why do they feel as if I'm obligated to say something back? I feel like that starts a lot. And especially in the Caribbean culture and, you know, even the Southern culture, and we grew up like that from our parents. Like, hey, somebody's talking to you. You have to say something back, or you have to do this back, or you have to act this way, which is why certain things transcend the way they do in our community that way. And it's like, okay, I understand it from a emotional standpoint, but from a logical standpoint, F you and Michelle. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so like, aggressive. See
it's not aggressive,
but you know what? I don't think. I take it a little bit as manners just because that was how I was raised. But to be honest, it's more about acknowledgement. Because to blatantly ignore and not acknowledge is so like, and I can't even say it's rude. It's just like what did you gain from this? And so that's why people know that I'm not from Florida, because when I walk around, if somebody speaks to me, I'm going to speak back to them, period. And what my Southern Miami friends had to tell me is, oh, that man think you love him now because everybody else is rude to him. And I'm like, okay, so now I have to give a disclaimer. I'm nice. I smile at everybody. I'm going to say hi if you say hi back. As long as you don't call me little mama or nothing weird, I'm going to say, hey, good morning. How you doing? I'm going to keep it moving though. Because I don't really want to give you the idea that this is going to be a conversation. It's just keeping it moving. But I also listen to a lot of people. So like I built a business on sitting next to strangers and talking and having full conversations and listening. So some people who've never been listened to take that as love. And I just be like, first of all, relax. I get it. You needed hugs growing up. However, I am just a nice person. I believe in giving kindness and letting people get their things off. Doesn't mean I love you. I mean, humanistically, sure. But like, relax.
Yeah. I don't know. I started, you know, I guess call it my villain arc, you know. When I really started just understanding psychology more, I stopped saying good morning to people. And it wasn't in a malicious way.
Did you feel like it freed you?
I did.
Because you didn't want to say good morning the whole time.
No, not at all. It just the not fulfilling someone else's obligation.
Okay.
And so in me not doing that, the small steps of understanding somebody's access to me. You know, the moment, because I also understand negotiation. You know, I took the masterclass stuff with Chris Voss, you know, worked for the FBI negotiation stuff and all of that stuff. And so when I say certain things or certain phrases and get somebody to respond to me in a certain way, you know, it can get manipulative if I want it to get there.
I had to say, you doing neuralistic programming.
Yes.
You're trying to mess with people's brains.
Neuroplasticity stuff,
Okay.
But that's the process of it. And so when my mind is already thinking that kind of way, if I don't know an individual, you know, I'll give a head nod. I'll still be polite in a gesture way, but I won't speak.
I was about to be like, are you, because if you are a head nodder, that would be so aggressive.
Yeah,
like
that's
literally
aggressive.
when we're in a conference, because I'm in finance, you know, real estate, securities, there are not very many other people of color, period, or women. So if I see you across the room and I head nod you and you don't head nod back, pressure. I don't even want to know you no more. Get over it. I'm out.
You know,
It's over. Don't even come over
It's like
here.
that, but even in the Marine Corps, like they have this motto, and I stopped telling it to civilians because they looked at me kind of weird. But they said, you know, make friends with everybody in the room, but have a plan to kill everyone.
Whoa.
Literally, like that was the quote that we were taught. And so understanding that's very aggressive. Very aggressive. Because I'm like, well, I like this person, but now I got to think about a way to take them out, you know? Like, but that's the reality of it because there's different situations that you go through. There's different, you know, whatever. And you don't know people's motive for certain things. But then, you know, I also like a lot of horror and I also like a lot of like thriller, drama, you know, crime type stuff.
You watch that on TV?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because it's the mindsets.
Okay.
How do these people think? Like, you know, the Jeffrey Dahmers or the Mansons and
so I watch a
all of that
documentary on that stuff. I will not watch a thriller horror where you shooting people in the face. Like, I don't want to see that for what? So most people think that I'm boring because I don't watch movies for the most part because I'm just not interested in watching violence. Like, and yeah, I know it exists outside, but like, why would I just purposefully subject myself to that? Like sitting outside and watching people shoot each other.
So what do you watch? What do you watch?
Mostly documentaries. Like I really, really like documentaries about history.
Okay.
That can put pieces together because going to law school really put a lot of history into context for me. Like certain laws came out at certain times because of what was going on politically and in business and in the world economically. So that made it super interesting and like from a worldview. So now I like people's stories. So last night I was listening to Oprah's story. I was like, oh, this is so good.
So now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what my brain does. You know, you say somebody's name that should be like, you know, up there, but I'm like what they would call a conspiracy theorist.
Oh Lord. She ain't in nobody's group.
See, so that's where it is. You know who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's more fun to think that she is.
Really? Yeah. Are you one of those people who be like, are you a non-Beyonce person?
I am a non-Beyonce.
Wow.
Well, hold on. Beehive, I don't have an issue with Beyonce.
Okay. Woo.
I am not a non-Beyonce person. I am a person that doesn't care for Beyonce.
Interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like, I wouldn't say that I am in the Beehive, but I would say, like, I find fascinating people's ascension, how Illuminati. They run their business,
reptiles.
How they structure their deals and contracts, because I want to be able to replicate that for clients and things of that nature, and for myself, maybe, you know.
In an Illuminati way, or
no?
Okay.
So,
just checking.
So, first of all, I 100% believe in deep ties and associations that help you grow in business. Now, who the people are?
You just did one of those hand gestures. You trying to you caught that? I caught that. As she said that, she did the hand gesture. Like, who you signaling? Listen. Who you signaling? You just said I believe in this, and you know you throw out Rock Nation stuff. What? You got what you got going on. I mean, whatever your facets are, you know, hey, this is a safe place. But I'm gonna call it out.
I mean, I'm in nobody's cruise.
Okay.
So I purposefully didn't join anything.
But you could have.
Yeah. You know.
The people offered.
Yeah. Not to be in the Illuminati. I don't even know who those people could be. But you know what I'm saying?
Do you think they're real?
I think that there are definitely secret societies that have internal connection.
You're answering like a law person.
Politics and economics.
Do you believe the Illuminati is real?
The group? No. Because, like, why would a secret society want you to know their name? Like, that's dumb.
That's the point. It's like a double secret.
Yeah, maybe.
Because people think that, you know, it becomes so common. It's like when they give you informational things like, they'll put it in front of your face, and because you see it so often or hear it so often, it's downplayed when something actually happens from
Yeah.
that.
It's sort of like, so I do a lot of stuff with asset protection and privacy, and people will be like, this is such and such a secret and it came from XYZ. I'm like, it's not a secret if you know, because you are not that tapped in to know people's business. So
True.
Real secrets are secrets. And real privacy will help you not be the person who ends up in the real deal. Like, you bought this house and like, well, we put it in the trust and all these things, and somehow they still connected it to your name. Yeah. Thanks. But I definitely believe that, like, there's a reason why there are the Davos weekends where, you know, world leaders come together and have conversations, and then there's like the secret meeting behind the secret meeting and all of that kind of stuff. So
okay,
yeah.
So let's make it more realistic. Now, what do you feel about like the Diddy's of the world?
I don't think I feel anything about him. Partially because the music business has lots of money. So it's not like it's some sort of secret thing to find a thing, get a buzz, get some distribution, and figure out how to make contracts. So I think that people over conspirize people's rises, especially like now. Like, they're like, look, every person that was in this one record label, they all dead, and it's because of. And next thing you know, they're gonna be like, it's because he was about to buy NBC, because that's what they say about everybody when they die or go to jail.
So you don't feel no type of way about like how Michael Jackson died, how R. Kelly even went to jail, how Bill Cosby even went to jail? Because if you look at the actual facts of the statistics of what they actually went to jail for, this is 10, 20 plus years later. They could have hit them when they got accused for it, but they didn't. They chose to do it when their catalogs were even at a prime state to not be bought, or, you know, they wanted to buy big real estate type things.
I mean,
why?
I would roll with you if they weren't doing things and like people relying on them. I would roll with you. But like, things happen to be coincidental sometimes, and it just makes it all like, look at this, they got them in, and then like lots of people show up because it's convenient. And I mean, I understand that from like a lawyer perspective. Once the deep checks is written and they're like, oh, we got proof and we got evidence, we can use your evidence against our evidence, it makes it easier. So this is why it becomes like, oh, it was 1 and now it's 50. Because the person is like, oh, I finally can get something out of it.
From a lawyer perspective, how would you defend an alien?
Excuse me? So I don't do that anyway. I don't do. So I have a part. My partner does litigation.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. I do paperwork.
Gotcha.
I am a negotiator. Gotcha. I'm the person who shows up and smiles. You know what I'm saying? And so
how would you negotiate with an alien?
I wouldn't.
Why?
For what?
If somebody came here and, you know, alien could, you know, insert your criteria here. It doesn't have to be moon eyes, big head, 7 foot tall person that doesn't speak English, you know, but somebody that is not from our realm per se. And
so so a person who's not from our realm has no need for law.
Why not? If we want them to adhere to society standards, then they would have to understand our law, right? Because we're judging them based off of our laws.
Just because you judge people based on something doesn't make it real. It's just like the idea of an alien. You know, we call people who are not citizens aliens too.
True.
So that's on purpose. Because if you called them a human, it would be rude to treat them bad. But if you call them an alien, you're just like, fuck them, put them in the cage.
True. True. You're not wrong. Okay. So you dealing with the negotiation aspects. In business, what does that look like for you?
So most of the time it is to think through all of the things that can becomes sticky when y'all are not getting along anymore. So like everybody likes everything when you get along and y'all doing the negotiations in the beginning. It's sort of like, yeah, we like it, you like it, I love it. All we're gonna do is gonna be so great. And then something happens. And if you didn't have a person to negotiate small points, like you sell microphones, right? You're going to sell them to all the podcasters in the world. One of them catches on fire. Who's liable? Should I be indemnified? Because all I do is sell it. I don't make them. Of course you should. But if that's not in the contract, y'all both getting sued and you both going to have to pay. So those are the sorts of things that I go to the meetings to negotiate for. So we do a lot in like mergers and acquisitions because I believe that. So I'm not going to say I'm anti-founder. I'm going to say that like, I'm going to let y'all do that and then we can buy that because like why go through a lot of the like testing product market fit things when like there are plenty of people who want to be scientists. Like let them be scientists with it. And then we can turn this into more of an enterprise. And so I think that most people's growth strategy should be acquiring. You can acquire for talent. You can acquire for advantages. So that's usually what I'm looking for. And helping clients identify things that they may not have looked at as like a thing to acquire.
So at what point in a person's business do you come into the picture, or should they look for somebody like you?
I would say I help, like my average client is a person who has a business that's doing relatively well. Obviously, I have a retainer, so like you can't be like I just started a business, I ain't got no money kind of a person. But I mean, I got some free tools. Like you could I'll tell you things, but I don't got implementation costs money. But so my average client would be a person who has a business is doing around $1 million, and they're trying to scale it to much larger, but also making it where they are paying less in taxes and bringing home more money. Because I know a lot of people who make a lot of like revenue who don't make no money. Yeah, like, and I'd be super like, I hope you ain't think that impressed me. That you're like, yeah, I did $100 million in sales and you made 300,000. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
It hurts.
You're working hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want this for you.
So, okay. So you got into my favorite breakdown part of the area. Okay. So when people mention taxes, you know, with these tax breaks and with these like loopholes and everything, how and why are some of them legal?
So the people who write laws to benefit themselves, their friends, and the people who give them money.
The reptilians, yeah.
And so the tax code is created, expanded, and all of that based on things that were popular when it first came out, which is not even 100 years ago, and just built upon making things easier for people, which is why, like, I tell people all the time, most people who have a good strategy should have a fund. Or if you're the plug, you should have a fund. So the plug is a person who connects the money and the opportunities for others. And you just take them, you take the money and you take a fee. But the reason why I say that is because carried interest is not tax-like income on purpose.
So wait, when you say fund, for me and for some of the people, what do you mean exactly?
So I mean a vehicle that allows other people to invest with you. You manage their money by putting it into opportunities. It could be opportunities that you have, or it could be opportunities that other people have. That's why I use the plug analysis, because like I run a fund of funds. All that means is I identify talent and I put money there. I give them the money and then they make a return and we spread it out with the investors. And I get to keep management fees and carried interest, which is my portion of the profits. They use a specific word called carried interest because it's taxed differently than income.
I feel like you just took my mind somewhere. I feel like because, you know, I like telling people all the time, like, I'm just a professional middleman. but I feel like you like a founding middleman, middlewoman. You know what I mean by that? Like your middleman version is like times 2.
Yeah. So how I got to that conclusion was, so I started off on, I would say the other side of the transaction, which is like sort of like a consumer. So I invest in things, I put money in, I'm the only owner, whatever. That's how it was raised. Like that's all you know. Like what I can afford, I invest in that and I own it all by myself. And then I had a mentor say, I'm gonna take you to a conference about alternative assets. And when I went there and I was telling them what I was doing, like, yeah, I help athletes and entertainers create enterprise systems and we buy stuff, right? That'll cover their lifestyle with the cash flow. And they're like, oh, that's cute. What size deals you doing? I'm like, between 1 and 5 million. Cool, cute, can't help you. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, smallest deal we'll do is 80 million. And I'm like, you said that while calm. It's okay. Tell me more about this. And then they're like, this is how it's set up. We have investors. Most of them are institutions or family offices or your favorite insurance company or your favorite university's endowment fund. They give us money. And we go out and we buy, insert this building, insert random sets of businesses or whatever, and we all share in the profit.
So essentially, just to condense it, this is how MTV ends up owning chain restaurants.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or how a person who doesn't have $6 billion buys a $6 billion team. So sports teams works a little bit different than most other things because they have a bunch of rules so that most people can't own them. One of the rules is you have to bring a certain amount of cash to the deal. So you do have to be pretty wealthy to get into that arena, but you can raise the rest of the money. Now, they create caveats there because they don't want there to be a lot of owners on sports teams. So the NFL has a 20-person max. So you can't just run around and go and like do a regular raise like most of us do where you're getting 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 from individuals. It has to be much higher ticket so that 20 people can get you $4 billion. Like that's aggressive amount of money. So, but it's the exact same concept, just bigger numbers. And so I had a mentor tell me one, because I was like, I started doing bigger deals, helping people buy these like strip malls and things of that nature, things that were much higher ticket. So like 50 million, 100 million, that sort of thing. Big expensive things. And I asked my mentor, because he's like, I don't do deals that are less than $1 billion. Like I can't make enough money. And I'm just like, interesting. But I got to. And so I said, how do I do that? And he's like, it's the exact same thing with bigger numbers. Okay.
So how do you even get in the door for that though? Because I would assume that it's like proximity as well.
Like raising a lot of money. Most people, especially if you're raising like $1 billion, you would use like broker dealers. And so a person who's a wholesaler, they connect people who are raising capital with a broker dealer and all they do is reach out to investors. Their investors are generally large institutions and things of that nature where they can say, this is what they're doing. We've done due diligence on them. And this is what the return profile is going to be. And like, how much would you want? And you pay them a handsome fee for this. So it's not like, so most of the time, most people's returns are diminished because they don't know how to raise their own money. So it costs them 7% of their equity and 7 to 10% of the money that is raised in fees. But if you can avoid that by just being like lit, which is what I tell people who have like, if you have your own ability to reach people, you can crush most people's returns because it doesn't cost you that much to get the money.
Yeah. We're gonna have some sidebar conversations because listen, I need that. And I've always thought myself to be good at being able to work with people because, from how I was raised, how I grew up, outside of just the family aspect, but growing up in the hood in the kind of way that I did, like I have a a loyalty complex. Like, you know, in the military, and he might watch this episode, me and him kind of beefing right now, but that's still my dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't fight a guy that he used to really like this female. And one of his close friends end up going to smash the female and like talk with her behind his back, and then tried to brush it off like, oh, it's just another female. But like, Buddy was in love. So I fought him and I broke his hand. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, nah, friends don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I have like a loyalty complex in that kind of way, to where I don't do wrong by people that, you know, that rock with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when I meet people in business, it's a genuine connection, because I'm not trying to like get anything from them necessarily. Like, I'm saying, yo, hey, how can I provide value to you? You know, same, you know, back and forth. Can we work together? Can we do something? And so I feel like with hedging, or with, you know, going in that kind of way, having conversations, I'm very good at having conversations with high level individuals, you know, whatever individuals, because as we're talking off bar, you know, I fell into business and I love business, and me going to school to study the little bit of psychology that I did made me understand and study more on my own to get to a level of high level conversations where I have investors right now that, you know, look at me and they're like, hey, look for a building. We'll go in on it with you. We'll do this and that for you, with you. And I'm just a kid from the hood. I don't have, you know, those crazy degrees or accolades or anything like that, but I have genuine spirit. And I understand the concept of money and leadership from the military also. And so people gravitate towards that aspect of it. But the way you just mentioned it, I'm not making money on that kind of level yet.
Yeah. Because we're going to put together the Money Bag Rich Fund. It's going to be great. And I think that the biggest thing about that is just like, when people have loyalty complexes, as you would call it, they would rather lose than see their people lose. And so those people end up doing really well, because you'll go out of your way to make sure that people are whole. And not a lot of people in this business do that. So you'll become like even if the deal is going a little bit sideways, you're going to communicate about it. You're going to make sure they're whole. You can move on to the next thing. People will continue to invest with you because they understand, at least people who really invest understand that like nothing is a for sure. Things happen, whatever the case may be. As long as you communicate and like go above and beyond to just be like, I took a loss. I made sure you was good. But this is what we're doing now. And like, we're executing and really focused. Slam dunks. Slam dunks. Because the truth about investing is most people are, I'm not even saying most people, everyone is speculating that the future will exist. And so you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but having a strategy that you've been doing for a while is not determinative of the future, but it's a little bit better than just guessing, which most people are doing. And so I would say that like everything is worth trying.
Got it.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen the show Suits?
I haven't.
Really?
I told you I don't watch violence.
It's not violence. It's called Suits. It's like
It's
it's a
rated R.
lawyer show.
It's rated R.
No, it's a TV show. It's just for lawyers. It's you would like it.
I doubt
Maybe. I doubt it. Maybe.
Like, so
I don't know. It's not country.
That's crazy. But I'd say I'm probably one of few lawyers who don't hang out with lawyers. And the reason is because lawyers are counter incentivized to be business people. Because if you are incentivized by dragging things out because you're paid hourly, you almost never do the most efficient thing.
And so in your classification of that, what kind of lawyer would you say you are?
I am a business and wealth strategist who happens to be a lawyer. So most of what we do is flat rate because I don't want to incentivize myself to want this to last longer.
Got it.
I want to get it done. Okay, what are we trying to do? What's the goal? Let's go. Let's execute it. Because I watch people like back when I used to own this PR firm, and I would have like these are standard contracts that we write for people who we know don't intend to read. And so they take it to a lawyer. The lawyer is going to charge them more than the contract is worth.
Yeah.
Just to drag it out and to take a picture with them because they're famous and put it on their website and say there was a client. And I'm like, that's whack. So I never wanted to be a part of any of that. And I am billing because I can. And because most things in the world is built on the dummy tax.
I believe it.
So the less you know, the more you can charge. The less your clientele knows, the more you can charge. Which is why there are still people paying $10,000 to get websites made. Like
people pay for ignorance. Yeah.
So website, you could drag and drop that yourself.
Facts. No, facts. You're 100% correct. People pay for ignorance, and you know, yeah, like it's and it sounds crazy, but you know, I've had somebody ask me the other day, like, you're a mindset coach. What the hell is that? Like, what do you actually do? And I'm like, I just help people think about shit the right way and then just change their systems. And my perspective of teaching is not normal because people expect me to be corporate. And I'm like, no, I'm teaching you book smart, but I'm also teaching you street smart. Yeah. And that's the element that a lot of coaches in my industry don't have. They'll have the knowledge on, you know, the neuroplasticity stuff and all of that type of stuff, but they don't know how to relate to the everyday person. And so in that relation, I find a lot of conversations I get paid for ignorance. And because I feel like I'm taking advantage of people sometimes, I won't even charge. Yeah. I'll just, you know, hey, just do this, bro. You know, just do this, bro. And then I'll see from there if they're serious, because if they don't even get past that portion, it's like, you don't care anyway.
Exactly. Have you ever read the book Outwitting the Devil?
No.
So it's by the same guy who wrote Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
But it's so good because it's literally what you're talking about. The only way to outwit the devil is to be a free thinker.
Develop on that a little bit.
So the book is really talking about how the playground of the devil is fear. And so in that he uses schools and religious teachings or religious leadership to push that fear even further. And so a free thinker is the kind of person who questions things, even if it's something that you were raised doing, or even if it was something that like you have completely normalized, like this is just how we do it, right? And then the free thinker says, but why? And do I have to just because? And so the book is really talking about how our preconceived notions about things, our hardwired ideas, are the playground of the devil. And it's such a good book.
It sounds good because it sounds like what I was talking. You articulated what I was trying to talk about earlier when I was like, you know, it's not a disrespect thing when people say, yeah, hey, good morning, you know, whatever. And I don't say it back. It's like, just like you said, do I, you know, but why? Yeah. And do I have to? You know, and so I've always been that way. And that's why I got kicked out of my house at 16, because that side of my family on mom's side, 7-day Adventist. And they're super strict, like no tattoos, no earrings, no going out on this night, no doing this, no doing that, no, you know, eating pork, no seafood, no nothing. Like, you know, and so I always, even growing up, just was like, why? You know, and so it wasn't to disrespect the overall essence of them or the religion itself, but just a thought process, because if we only learn something from our parents or we learn something from somebody else, is it right though? Yeah,
exactly. Like it's sort of like just because everyone is doing it doesn't make it right, and just because no one is doing it doesn't make it wrong.
Facts. Bars. Yeah, like literally bars. No, so you know, one thing I wanted to touch back on was, with the tax breaks or the tax deductions, you said people end up paying a lot more taxes than they should. Outside of real estate, how can people pay dramatically less taxes?
So that's a super complicated question. However, it really depends on the business that they're in and the structure.
Mm.
So a lot of what I talk about has more to do with like how you set it up in the beginning for your plan to exit. So if you are intending to sell your business, it needs to be set up a certain way so that you can qualify for qualified small business stock, which means that you won't have to pay capital gains taxes on the first $10 million of the sale. Like that becomes a large savings, you know what I'm saying? And then the ability to create your own like solo 401ks and things like that, where you can put astronomically more pre-tax money away than the other traditional things that people know about, which are like self-directed IRAs and that sort of thing. But for the most part, what I'm telling people to do as it pertains to like being an influencer, right? Or a not an influencer, athlete, that sort of thing. Somebody who uses their personal brand as a part of a business, like you're a speaker or whatever.
Yeah.
Having an entity that has that, having your trust that owns your intellectual property that you can license to the company, that's an expense, that's a deductible. So you get to keep the money, basically. And being able to deduct the things that are your lifestyle because it is a part of that business. So I get haircuts, I get, I buy clothes, you have cars, you're going and you're riding first class and all of those things. You need an entity to be able to justify that. Your real estate business cannot justify your hairdo.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay. No, that makes a lot more sense. So when you help people do this, at what stage, I know you said, $1 million mark and whatnot, but asset wise for trust, what should people have before getting a trust?
I say that for a simple trust, you just need to have something that's worth arguing over.
Okay.
So whatever that is for your family. So for some people, it could be as simple as grandma got china. Everybody's grandma got china. Don't know why. Ain't never used it. It's just in a dusty ass closet on the side. But that is something that can cause your family to argue in court, that a judge is going to be able to make the decision over. You should have a trust so that you can avoid that. Because like, what y'all arguing over china, they ain't nobody going to use anyway. Because you want to sell it to somebody.
So how does a trust and a will differ?
So a will is just wishes, and it allows you to go to probate court and have guidance that the judge can then make decisions over. And more than likely, people have multiple wills because that's just how like people are. And then it becomes the battle of the forms, and you're arguing. And the person who gets to choose isn't in your family, doesn't love you, doesn't know what's going on.
Gotcha.
And then a trust just takes the things out of the estate. So you never go to court. Is all of those assets are going to be determined where they're going to go based on that contract, which is what a trust is. You have my brain working today. I wasn't expecting my brain to do all of this today, because normally I just be flowing, but now like you just got that fund in my head, and that's super prevalent. So you recommended 2 great books, Outwitting the Devil and How to Make $1 Million an Hour. So Napoleon Hill and Les Leopold. Okay, cool. What would be 3 key pieces of advice you would give someone who needs you? Number 1, no one sues people. Okay, let me take that back. No one sues businesses that are not attached to people who have wronged them or that they feel like have money. What I mean by that is get your name out the public records. So if your business wrongs somebody, they're going to sue your business. That's fine. It'll get the assets of the business. But the reason why you want to be private is because people know Rich. They don't know your business. They don't know your business's names. But if they can find it with a couple Google searches, what they're going to do is they're going to sue you personally. They're going to sue the business. They're going to try to get a subpoena to pull all your records, to look for a way to get the business's assets, because they're going to try to say you commingled or you did something funny at some point, at any point, right? And so if they can't attach your name to a business, the likelihood that you'll be sued is so much less, like 95% less, just from that alone.
So take your names off the LLC.
That's right. So that's number one. Number two, everybody thinks that they want to get millions of dollars, retire, buy a house on Palm Beach, and get massages and drink by the beach or something. But what you will realize after doing that for about 7 days is it's boring as hell. And so your goal should be to earn as much as you can, take chips off the table, have your money invested so that it can cover your lifestyle and cash flow, and then do something that you actually care about. And most of that comes down to like being an abundant giver, because most of us are raised in the environment where you feel like things were unfair. You want to help. You want to do whatever the case may be. It takes money to do that. Don't be the person who's just like, I started a nonprofit. You ain't got no money. They ain't got no money. Everybody is, what are y'all drinking out of the same straw? That's crazy. So here's another book. The Virtue of Selfishness is by Ayn Rand. And the premise of that book is, if you are a person and you live in a community and you have the only well, if you give out all the water in the well, everybody would die. So you have to make sure your job is to be selfish enough to keep the well filling and overflowing so that y'all can all flourish. Don't let people drain you, because they don't have a well. So now y'all are all like, your lack of selfishness will make everybody die.
Sheesh. Ayn Rand?
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand.
Okay. A-Y-N is the N.
A-Y-N. Wow. So.
And then my third.
Okay.
So, and then the third is that you should raise money. You should probably not raise money in your company, though. So most people look at raising money as like, oh, I have to sell a piece of my company. What I want you to do instead of doing that is look at an asset that you want to acquire and do that with a group. So you're going to take that company that you have, it's going to be a shareholder of this new thing that's going to own this asset, and you're going to own it with others. And you're going to use their money to buy it, but you have the skill. So the gag is that people think money is the thing, but money's not the thing. Money's in abundance. People who can execute things are not in abundance.
Facts.
So when you know how to do a thing, you letting them participate is the value. And so y'all can do that together. It's not going to cost you very much. It's going to further your goals and theirs at the same time. So don't be selling portions of your company. I don't agree with any of that. But I do think you should be raising money to do the things that you want to do and to further your wealth goals. Man,
you dropped some nuggets on this one. I'm talking 20-piece family meal nuggets, not no little 4-piece. Like you went crazy with this one. So, you know, if there's all type of people that watch this podcast, and you know, we have a lot more segments coming in season 2, which launches January 31st. You know, where can people find you if they wanted to tap in with you, work with you, possibly, you know, learn more information from you, all of that stuff?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram as Lala Hurdles 2. I'm on Twitter as Idlette, which is my last name. I'm on LinkedIn, LaVonne Idlette. If you are a beginning business person and you're looking for help with foundational things, how to be structured to raise capital and that kind of stuff, you should send me a DM with the word entity, and I'll send you a free guide on how to structure your business. We also have a program that is 12 weeks, and it's to help people who are beginning in business get to the point where they can either raise money, go out and get big business funding, and have the structure that makes them defensible and auditable. Because most people be having stuff, but they don't be having their stuff all the way together. And the worst thing is to find that out when you're in court. And then, so that's one. Two, if you need a trust or something like that, I have a trust course that is going to launch next month, and it's going to be live. You can do Q&A and all of that. We do set up trust, but I think that you should learn what it is first, because people call me, they don't actually be knowing what it is or how to use it. So Trust Essentials, we're doing a course next month, so you can DM me trust for that. And then if you're a little bit already high achieving, making some money, and you want to figure out how to preserve that wealth, build more by becoming the plug, creating your own fund, or starting a nonprofit, I have a program for that, and we also do the services that set that up. So just hit me up any of those places, and I look forward to meeting you guys. And I'm pretty nice and accessible. I don't know about these people from New York, but I be around. And to be honest, I'll tell you anything. I'm just not doing no work for free.
That's a jam. That's a bar. I'll tell you anything. Just not doing the work for free. And so something that you want to say on the last, because you said it, and I was like, man, how come some nonprofits are like monsters when it comes to making money? Like Rolex is a nonprofit and TED Talks is a nonprofit.
It's structure and pursuit. What are you doing? So people think that nonprofits don't do business, and they do, and they can. It's just how you set up. So all a nonprofit really means is that at the end of the year, your balance is zero. So that could mean that, so a foundation only is required to give 5% away to the purpose that they say, 5%. The reason the number is 5% is because there's an assumption that most of your assets should be invested so that it can be sustainable forever. Not you run out of money every year and you got to scramble to figure it out. So most of your money will be invested. You're going to have a team, so you're paying salaries. And so although you are making money because you are in the Rolex business or you are in the IKEA business, your bottom line needs to be zero.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So, being an abundant giver and all of that is good, but you need to find the thing that can make it sustainable. That's the biggest thing. And so what we do as foundations is we give money to the grassroots. Like, I know people who are doing great work who don't have no money and they don't have a plan to get no money. So we give them money, but and they're doing the make sure 100 people eat every day, make sure people have free childcare, all of that kind of stuff, which is needed. But we also need to teach them how to become self-sustaining too, because then you don't become beholden to whatever those people want you to be doing. They'll be like, oh, if you don't take this kind of person in, we're not gonna give you no more money. You don't ever want to be in the position where people can dictate terms to you.
Lala, you listen, I told y'all season 2 was going to be crazy. This is intentional invites only. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I am not somebody, just like she said, I had the realm or the you could access me before. You can't now. And that's just me being real. It's not me being cocky. It's not me being on any type of level. I'm human at the same time. And I don't make nearly as much money as some of the giants that I'm around. And I'm fortunate to be around. But where I make up for that also is the virtue of my presence, my personality. I make sure everybody around me is good.
Yeah.
I don't like to just win by myself. And so in creating that atmosphere, there was a lot of people that were taking that energy and weren't reciprocating it the same way. So you will not have access to me, 2024 and going forward. But thank you so much for just coming on the show and just dropping gems, teaching us more about funds and nonprofits, and IKEA is a nonprofit, and you did it all with a country accent, and it was great. We appreciate it. We always love when we hear a different sound. This is you might make this an audiobook for you guys, because it's nice. But thank you for coming on the show.
Can I give my one thing, my going away thing?
Absolutely.
The person who thinks they're great is right. The person who thinks they suck is right. So believe in your greatness and keep trying. So in the last book I read, it said, and this is actually in Outwitting the Devil, less than 1 out of 10,000 people who have failed twice will continue. Keep going. It doesn't matter. 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It'll work out. If it ain't work out, it ain't over. There you go.
It's just continual. It's an overflowing gem. You know, I'm gonna change her name on my phone to the gem. You know, Lala gems. You know, it might influence the Instagram handle change. And you know, who knows? Who knows? But you know, it's your host Moneybag Rich here, and as we always say, man, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and you know the deal. You know, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back, and we out of here.